11 recap. What a thick session we had this last week. It is currently Sunday morning. We have session 12 coming up tonight. So it's going to be wild because what happened in session 11 was fucking crazy. I think we spent almost the entire 4-hour session in initiative, which is pretty rare. We basically got into combat and then we were just going moment to moment throughout this entire session. So we started out the end of session 10 with the party. We have Hippie back, so the full group is back. Teyoshi, the UNT kind of trader, they're not sure whose side he's on guy. Anawana, the druid, is with them in this temple, and they are traveling back in time to the ancient UNT society where they're trying to stop Sin from completing this ritual that he's planning on doing at noon the next day during this eclipse that is supposed to happen. So the party travels back in time, and Teyoshi's like, once we get in there, we got to move quick. I know the secret exit, so we just got to get out. And they travel back. Teyoshi immediately switches back into his Cobra form, and he starts guiding the party down this hallway. Now that they are back in the ancient time, when this this pyramid is still populated, there are people inside. So they hear screaming, sounds of torture from the room above, which, if you remember, was like this old torture chamber. They decide not even to fuck with it. They're just gonna follow Teyoshi out this secret hall. But trying to stealth, a couple of them roll low on the stealth, and some cultists that are on the same floor as them hear them, and they rush in and begin attacking the party. So they attract some attention, but their main objective is still to escape out of this pyramid. So the party begins doing what they can to like grapple and silence the cultists. One of them tries to run upstairs, but is stopped by a party member. Billy Bob Jr. goes around a corner to try to kind of explore out and see what the rest of the area kind of looks like. He finds a kitchen where there's a cultist cooking. He dispatches this cultist by shoving him into the pot of boiling water and sticking his movable rod over the top of him. Pretty brutal, but he does forget to grab his immovable rod on the way out in the chaos. So that thing is still back in the pyramid. A Malison, one of these larger snake-headed kind of mid-tier UNT guys, hears the ruckus going on and runs downstairs, starts fighting. He is beginning to lose the battle when he decides to retreat. So him and another cultist retreat up the stairs to the second floor, and the party does not chase him. Instead, they make their way for the exit. On their way out, they come across a brood guard, which is this sick, transformed monstrosity of a creature that is guarding the exit. They are able to take this guy down. He's not super powerful, but they're going to find out that there's a lot of these guys in this village of the UNT. So they break their way out of the pyramid's secret door that Teyoshi has led them to. Anawana is waiting outside for them, and they basically get out into the night air and try to decide what they're going to do next. One of the first things the party notices is that there's like a bunch of light and sound and stuff, and they creep around the side of the pyramid and they see that there is like a festival going on. This is the festival of the eclipse that the entire UNT village is celebrating for the upcoming ritual in the next day. The party has a really good idea that I didn't really think about, which was just, instead of trying to sneak their way through this town, they're just going to go to the outskirts into the jungle and try to run around the perimeter. So what this village looks like is there's this pyramid on the I guess the west side of the village. In front of that, to the east, there's this large baptismal pool. It's like this large rectangular shallow pool of water that goes for a couple 100 feet all the way across to the other side of the village, where there is this big like monolithic keep, and that is where Sin's keep. In between those two, there's a forge and the festival on the north side of the village, and then on the south side there is a mining quarry and a giant arena. Now the party has not gone in. The party during this entire session did not go into the arena, the pit as it's called, but they did hear like there's an event going on inside of there. They basically stayed on the north side by the festival and the forge for most of this session. So they're discussing what to do. Their idea is to sneak off into the jungle and make their way around the perimeter of this place and get to the back of the keep and sneak in that way. So as they're traveling up, they're making their way past the festival of the eclipse. They see there's like a bunch of yuan ti just celebrating. There's like fire spinners, sword swallowers. They have some slaves that they're like making fight to the death, but they continue on through this jungle. As they are traveling past the forge, Billy Bob Jr. splits off, tells the party to keep going, and he'll catch up with them later, and he pulls out a couple sticks of dynamite. So he runs down towards the forge, and the party takes off through the jungle to try to get to the north side of this keep, to get behind the keep. He lights a fuse and throws it into the forge. Now there's a lot of like combustible material inside of this forge, and so when the dynamite explodes, this entire thing erupts and the entire building is brought down. He then takes another stick of dynamite and throws it towards the festival, and it's kind of further away, so he can't throw it all the way into it, but it does make a huge explosion, and he's basically got the attention of the entire village at this point. After a couple rounds, he is noticed by some guards that are kind of standing out around the festival. And this one guard who has these brood guards that I was talking about earlier, these like monstrosity abomination things, transformed slaves to do the bidding of the yuan ti. They're kind of like bloodhounds in a sense. And as Billy Bob Jr. has made this distraction, he sends these bloodhound creatures off into the jungle to try to chase him down. So the party at this point is trying to sneak through the jungle in the dead of night, and they're kind of away from all the ruckus that Billy Bob Jr. has caused, but they are rolling stealth checks as they try to make their way through this jungle, and they are spotted by a pair of displacer beasts. Now, displacer beasts are like these, almost like these giant leopards with these weird like 6 tails that come out of them, and one of their abilities is that you can't really tell where they are. They kind of displace themselves, and so it's hard to hit them. Once you do hit them, it kind of deactivates their ability for the turn, and so they're easier to hit. So party's fighting these jungle cats basically as they're trying to move through the forest. They don't really notice that Anawana has been taking some damage. I mean, they know she's hurt, but they don't know how hurt she is, and she is actually taken down by one of these displacer beasts. We ruled that since Roger didn't get death saves, NPCs do not get death saves, so Anawana falls to one of these jungle cats, and she's gone. Now the party is able to take these guys out fairly easily, but they're starting to lose resources and health. They've been going for a long time without a rest, and they're getting close to the keep with very, very low resources. So they continue on, and they finally catch sight of this keep. And it's about this time that Sin first presents himself. He steps out into this keep, and this was a perception check that Billy Bob Jr. rolled. He rolled a 29. Basically, he's able to hear, and the party doesn't know this, but they see him come out onto the keep with this priestess by his side. This other serpentine, like female. She's got like crazy, like a headdress on, big long fingernails, real nasty looking. And Sin basically addresses all of the people of the village, calls them all to the baptismal pool. And he's basically says, like, someone is here. Everyone be on your guard. We cannot let this ritual be disrupted. Find these people, bring them to me, and we'll take care of it. So they are now on high alert. And the party that is split off from Billy Bob Jr., they've now made their way around to the back of the jungle. And Pax basically looks out and sees that there are these huge guard towers around the keep and about a 30-foot wall. And so they decide to just make a break for it. And they take off sprinting towards the guard tower. Almost immediately, they are spotted by 2 guards that are watching the back of the tower. They start raining arrows down on them, and they're just charging up and like trying to dodge arrows while they are making their way towards the wall. Get hit a few times on their way up. Gaston is like holding his shield up, blocking arrows. Pax is just rolling and dodging. Mateo is actually dodging a lot of the attacks too. He gets hit a couple times, and those are big hits, but everyone makes it pretty well to the wall. And once they do, Gaston and find a door to the guard tower on the north side of it, and the party makes their way towards this tower, And Teoshi, who was kind of off to the other side of the group, the closest guard tower to him is the opposite tower, so he just runs to the closest tower because they're shooting at everybody. And so Teoshi disappears into that room, and Pax runs into the first guard tower and climbs up a ladder, finds this big chest, but he knows that Matteo is still not quite in the guard tower yet, so he makes his way up to the top to try to fight off these guards. Gaston comes in behind him, he runs up the ladder and opens his chest up, and I rolled a treasure hoard. This is basically Sin's personal stash of treasure, and they have come around the back of the keep where he keeps it and found it. So they open it up, they get a bunch of really cool items that they're not totally sure what they all do yet. We're kind of doing it so that if you get a magic item, I'm going to describe it, but like you're not going to know what it does until it either gets identified or if you just try to use it. So they get all these items. There's a bunch of like rare art objects too and some gems. So Gaston is like holding all this stuff, and Pax has run up to the top of the guard tower, and Pax has been tearing through motherfuckers. He's just really shining as a fighter in this adventure, and he basically dispatches the last two guards. Gaston dumps the treasure down the ladder where Matteo is coming in with his handy haversack, which is like this interdimensional bag that can hold a bunch of stuff. So he dumps it all downstairs. Matteo takes a turn scooping it all into the bag, and they run up to meet Pax, who is in the last stages of fighting these guards off. Gaston runs up, hammers down a couple, and Matteo is slinging some spells. Meanwhile, Billy Bob Jr. has been rolling stealth checks against these brood guards, perception checks, these bloodhound creatures. We did 3 rolls. If he fails a single one, he will be discovered and attacked. He passes all 3 rolls against their active perception checks. So he successfully hides, kind of like Frodo when the freaking ring wraith comes over the road. As soon as the coast is clear, he makes a break back for the festival, where most of the people have gone to talk to Sin, who has called basically a giant meeting of all of his subjects, telling them that there are intruders here and we need to find them, hunt them down, capture them, whatever you got to do. And so he goes back to the festival, where he finds there's only one single one of these pure bloods, which is like all the Yuan Ti have these weird names. This is basically the most human version of a snake person that you can find. So she's standing there watching these slaves that are all shackled up, the ones that they had been fighting against each other. We rolled to see how many there were. We got like 15, something like that. But Billy Bob Jr. sneaks up behind this pure blood and basically cuts her throat, kills her, and frees these slaves. Now the slaves are unarmed. He is able to find a few weapons and armor to arm some of them, and he basically tells them, you guys go get the attention of all these Yuan Ti and then make a break for the pyramid. Okay? And he's going to do something else. I'm not sure what yet, because we're getting near. This is the shortest recap ever, probably, just because, like I said, we were in initiative the whole time. So this was like one long action scene. He's got a plan. I don't know what it is, but he tells these slaves to go cause a distraction and head for the pyramid. They're scared out of their minds. They're going to do anything they can to get out of here. But the pyramid is occupied by people, and these are just commoners, common slaves. So they're not going to run in and attack. They're just going to get the attention and make a break for it. So we'll see what happens in the session tonight. But that's basically where we're at. So at the end of this session, basically what we have is Billy Bob Jr. has been going on like a Metal Gear Solid distraction mission, and the rest of the party has been sneaking around the back of this keep to try to infiltrate it from the back. They have successfully gotten into Sin's keep. They're like on the back side of Sin's keep, and the entire Yuan Ti village is like just on the other side of the keep. They don't know exactly how many people have infiltrated their village yet. They know at least that Billy Bob Jr. is there, and surely more information will come about soon. But the party is there. They are low on resources. They are low on hit points. They need a rest super badly, but they've got bloodhounds in the woods looking for them, and the entire village is on alert. So they've been talking a little bit about trying to find a way to rest. I don't know how the hell they're going to get an 8-hour long rest without being discovered, or even an hour, but we'll see what happens. That was session 11. It took 4 hours, but I recapped it in about 15 minutes. So that was it. And this was a crazy session. This session, like, kind of by the end of it, my mind was melted. Having the party split off is a lot more to try to keep up with, but it does make for some really exciting and like interesting situations that can arise, because now we've got kind of two fronts going, and I think at the very least it will pay off more than if they had all just pushed their way through this village and tried to fight their way up to the keep. There's a million ways you can approach a situation, but this way, at least, Sin is right there in front of the rest of the party. He hasn't transformed into a demigod yet. That's still hours away. They've gotten to the party pretty early, and there's still a lot of time to do something. So we will see what happens. The next session is tonight at 6, so just a few hours away. I'm super excited. I think the party we're all kind of biting our nails about what the fuck's gonna happen. We're joking about rolling up new characters. Hopefully that won't have to happen. But like I said, ain't holding back. So we'll see. That's about it. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a wonderful, beautiful afternoon, and I will see your beautiful faces in the next session.